Hello learners, this is Habiba with Excel with me. If you like the videos, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class with UGC NET Paper 2 Education Unit 3 Learner and Learning Process with the subtopic Approaches to Intelligence from Unitary to Multiple Critical Thinking. Let's understand what is critical thinking. That means if you have any problem, you will think about that problem. What are the causes of that problem? And then you will find out the solution of the problem. So let's go in deep about critical thinking now. Introduction. Critical thinking or basic reasoning is a rich idea that has been creating all through the previous 2500 years. The expression critical thinking or basic reasoning has its underlying foundations in the mid-late 20th centuries. Now let's define critical thinking. A statement by Michael Scriven and Richard Paul presented at the 8th Annual International Conference on Critical Thinking and Education Reform, summer 1987. It goes like this. Critical thinking is the intellectually disciplined process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning or communication as a guide to belief and action. In its exemplary form, it is based on universal intellectual values that transcend subject matter divisions. Clarity, accuracy, precision, consistency, relevance, sound evidence, good reasons, depth, breadth and fairness. So, what this National Council for Excellence in Critical Thinking in the year 1987, what they have given about critical thinking, it is intellectually disciplined process. That means we have to involve ourselves skillfully and actively. Whatever the problem or situation comes in front of us, we should analyze, conceptualize that thing and apply, or whatever situation comes, we have to apply our ideas or knowledge, and also we should evaluate what will happen if I will do like this. What will be the consequences? We should all think when we will get all these problems or things in front of us to have this critical thinking when we observe something, when we experience, and also when we reflect what we have done in the past, and also through reasoning, what is correct, what is wrong, and also through communicating with others, then we will get different ideas. They will act as guide for us to have some beliefs and act upon it. So it is a universal intellectual value, critical thinking is that. So we can divide this values as clarity, accuracy, precision, consistency, relevance, sound, evidence, good reasoning, etc. Whether fair or no, or wrong. Also, we can analyze all these things. It involves, this critical thinking involves the assessment of those constructions or components of thought verifiable in all thinking. That is, purpose, problem or question at issue, assumptions, concepts, empirical grounding, reasoning leading to conclusions, implications and consequences, objections from alternative viewpoints and frame of reference. So, what are all these critical thinking involves? Involves in the construction of things like purpose. What is the purpose of our thinking? What is the problem or question or at issue? we are going to act upon or think upon or find solution about. Assumptions, that is, already we will have something in our mind, this could be the solution for this problem. And also the concept, clarity of the concepts also should be there. So how we can reach to the conclusions through some reasoning or implications, that means putting things in execution. What could be the consequences also we will think in critical thinking. And sometimes we will discuss with others, objections will arise with the communication or discussions. Others' viewpoints we will come to understand about, and then we will frame the things and new ideas and solutions for those concepts or issues or the problems. Now, critical thinking in being responsive to variable subject matter issues and purposes is incorporated in a family or interwoven modes of thinking among them. That means critical thinking is interwoven between different things. Maybe that is scientific thinking. Scientists have that power, scientific thinking. That means we should have some practical thing, that means evidences should be there for that, otherwise that thinking will not adjust itself. Then mathematical thinking, historical thinking, anthropological thinking, that means learning about humans, and then economic thinking, moral thinking, and philosophical thinking. So these are all interwoven things in critical thinking. Now, critical thinking can be seen as having two components. What are they? Let's see. Number one, a set of information and belief generating and processing skills. That means whatever information we are generating and processing skills should be there in that. Secondly, the habit based on intellectual commitment of using those skills to guide behavior. Obviously, some information should be generated, some processing skills will be there, and then we have to commit to that to use those skills to guide our behavior, how we can behave properly in the society. The ability to think critically as conceived in this volume involves three things. Number one, an attitude of being disposed to consider in a thoughtful way the problems and subjects that come within the range of one's experience. That means how we will expose ourselves if a situation comes in front of us. Then secondly, knowledge of the methods of logical inquiry and reasoning. We should have the knowledge. If anything come across any issue or problem, we should have some logical inquiry or reasoning or some methods to solve that problem. Some skill in applying those methods. Obviously, we should consider thoughtfully whatever problem is there with the experience, and then we should have some logical thinking and some methods to solve that problem and apply that method skillfully. So these are the three things given by Edward Glaser, seminal study on critical thinking and education in 1941. Then brief conceptualization of critical thinking. Let's see here. Critical thinking is a self-guide, self-disciplined thinking, which attempts to reason at highest level of quality in a fair-minded way. That means people think critically, consistently, attempt to live rationally, reasonably, and empathetically, understanding the feelings of others. They are keenly aware of the inherent flawed nature of human thinking when left unchecked. They strive to diminish the power of their egocentric and sociocentric tendencies. They use the intellectual tools that critical thinking offers, concepts and principles that enable them to analyze, assess, and improve the thinking. They work diligently to develop the intellectual virtues of intellectual integrity, intellectual humility, intellectual civility, intellectual empathy, intellectual sense of justice, and confidence in reasoning. So they realize that no matter how skilled they are as thinkers, they can always improve their reasoning abilities, and they will at times fall prey to mistakes in reasoning, human irrationality, prejudices, biases, distortions, uncritically accepted social rules and taboos, self-interest and vested interests. So excellently explained all the things here. They strive to improve the world in whatever ways they can and contribute to a more rational, civilized society. The person who has the critical thinking ability should have the discriminating power, what is correct, what is wrong. Then critically, positive and negative things they will analyze, assume some things which can be utilized in future. At the same time, they recognize the complexities often inherent in doing so. They avoid thinking simplistically. They will not think simple way. Critically, they will think complicated issues and strive to appropriately consider the rights and needs of relevant others. So they recognize the complexities in developing as thinkers and commit themselves to lifelong practice towards self-improvement. They embody the Socratic principle, the examined life is not worth living, because they realize that many unexamined lives together result in an uncritical, unjust, dangerous world. Excellently explained by Linda Elder, September 2007. So, this critical thinking power is very important to stand unique in the world. Now, why critical thinking? Why we are talking about this critical thinking? Let's understand. First, there should be a problem. The problem. Everyone thinks it is our nature to do so. But much of our thinking left to itself is biased, distorted, partial, uninformed, or downright prejudiced. Prejudiced means taking some decisions about somebody else without knowing. At the quality of our life and that of what we produce, make or build depends precisely on the quality of our thought. So shoddy thinking is costly both in money and in quality of life. So excellence in thought, however, must be systematically cultivated. If we cultivate excellent thought process, then our life will go in a smooth way. Let's understand a definition. Critical thinking is that mode of thinking about any subject, content or problem in which the thinker improves the quality of his or her thinking by skillfully taking charge of the structures inherent in thinking and imposing intellectual standards upon them. Obviously, about the subject and content or problem which we are going to think improves the quality of our thinking. Skillfully we will take charge and inherently we will think some structures and we will go upon the standards upon them. Now the results, a well cultivated critical thinker, what there should be, raises vital questions and problems, formulating them clearly and precisely. Otherwise, normal people, they will just move simple life. The persons who have the critical thinking, they will raise the questions, the problems which comes across. They will not keep quiet just like anybody else, normal people. Then gathers and assesses relevant information using abstract ideas to interpret it effectively, comes to well-reasoned conclusions and solutions, testing them against relevant criteria and standards. They gather information about the problem, what could be the results of the problem, what are the causes of the problem, what if take the solution, if this solution, then what will be the consequences. All these things they will think critically. Thinks open-mindedly within alternative systems of thought, recognizing and assessing as need be their assumptions, implications and practical consequences. So open-mindedly, they think open-mindedly, not the how people think narrow-mindedly. They will not think, those people who have this critical thinking ability. Then communicates effectively with others in figuring out solutions to complex problems. Obviously, the person who has the critical thinking power, they will be able to communicate with others effectively about the solutions. So let's conclude this topic. Critical thinking is, in short, self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored and self-corrective thinking. Obviously, we can do our own critical thinking, nobody can else. So all these things are self. It presupposes assent to rigorous standards of excellence and mindful command of their use. It entails effective communication and problem-solving abilities and a commitment to overcome our native egocentrism. That means someone's inability to understand that another person's view or opinion may be different than their own. Obviously, egocentrism means we are correct. Other person's viewpoint we will not think about. So, and sociocentrism. What is sociocentrism? Putting the needs and concerns of social group ahead of his or her own needs and concerns. So, these are the two things will happen if we will not have this self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitor or self-corrective thinking. So, we come to the end of this session. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.